Hi guys, in this video we will continue our journey in Ruby on Rails 7 using the Hotwire. Here we will build from the scratch of our video series to the last video that I created from the Rails. Okay, so now I need to check what kind of Ruby I have in here. So what I'm gonna do is RVM, because I'm using the RVM. I think I already discussed this in the first video. And then what I'm gonna do here is RVM use. I'm gonna use 3.0, and then from that I need to check what version I have now, and then Rails dash V, so I can understand, okay, I'm using Rails 7 because in my local machine or my computer I'm using different kind of version of Ruby, and then from that there is a different gem install or Rails, and then every project that I have from the past or the new, then I changed my, how do you call it, Ruby version. Okay, so let's dig in. So what we're gonna do is let's create our project Hotwire. So project Hotwire, and then here you can see, okay, what I did last time is Rails new and then project Hotwire. That's just only your name of your application. So if you're a new developer, so you can understand it. And then I go to cd project Hotwire, and then now what we're gonna do is to generate a model, which is we will call it project. So we will discuss it fully about those and how we can install some other bootstrap in the how do you call it, in the next episode of the video, so you can understand also. So I'm gonna put here Rails G, which is generate the model. We can put, I think we can put a small model, and then put project, and then that is the name of our, or the file of the model, or what we call is table. And then from that, because what's gonna happen is you have a table which is the Postgre, but for now we use only SQLite, but we will change that in the next video or the next couple of videos to Postgre. But what happened here is you have a project, and this project is the model, and then it will communicate because it will create another it will create a table, a what we call is project, and then from that it will communicate what is, how do you call it, how it can pass to the table, how it can store the data, what are kind of query, those kind of things. So yeah, this is kind of yeah, the connections to the table, or the, how do you call it, the database. So now I'm gonna put here the content, and then I call it string. So, and then we'll put vote because that is what we used last time, integer. Then I will hit click, then it will create a active record. It create also, if you can see this one, cut, and then we can see here, so it generate for us an integer content. This is the created tables. I think better we can open in the code itself. So here, so you can see, so this is what we did. So we have here the application, and then from applications we have a model, which is, this is what we generate, the project.rb, and this is that one. And then from that it create also a dv, sorry, this is the dv, and then it create here the, how do you call it, the projects, which is the project that we create. And then we have a content and vote. So what we're gonna do here is we need to put default because that is what we did last time. And now we have a timestamp. So timestamp is this default in Ruby on Rails when you're creating a table, and it will it's like created add that you have a timestamp in your database. So just to make it simple. And then now yeah, let's go to create a our table, Rails db create, and then db migrate. So what happened here, you will create a schema, and then from that schema it will take your table in here that you created from the Rails G model, and then it will create a table, and then it will, you can start off using that one so you can store your data. Okay, I will hit click, and then now we have that one. So you can see here we generate the SQLite 3 or SQL. So if you're gonna go here, gem, we don't have here the Postgres, so we are using SQLite, but we will change this, like I think Hotwire did that also. We will use the command and then we will change to Postgre. Okay, so but for now let's just leave it like this, the SQLite tree, and then we generate here the schema. This is what I'm talking about. Created a table for you, and then you have a content, vote, created that, and updated at. So you have a version, and then this is your schema. So you don't need to change on this one, the schema. And how you can do it is in the DB migrate this file. If you want to downgrade or upgrade, there's some other technique, either using the command line. When you, for instance, you do like this, Rails DB, I think migrate status, and you can see here what you already migrated, and then you can down or off, and then you can edit. But in the, how do you call it, enterprise application, or when you already deployed to production, it's very hard to do that. So the thing you need to do is to create another migration, and then from that you can down the table. Okay, so I hope you learn on that part. And then now we need to create a controller, because that is what we are need to work on. Rails G controller. So I will call it a projects because it's a controllers, and the controller is always a plural. And then we will add here, I think first we need to use index. We need to use so the index is the method, so we need to create a new create. So we can create, we can post, and we can project controllers. So we have index, new, create, edit, update, and destroy. So what we're gonna do first is to create in the routes. So let's make it, this one is nice. So what, to make it nice, so what we're gonna do is let's do resource. I think we can use resources, and then the projects, which is the projects, and then from that we can start, and then let's go to the root, and then let's put a projects, and then index. So why I did that, so because instead of using get by get by get, so we just need to use a resources to make it clean, and then it will automatically give you the informations if it's post, or meaning you will put the record to the database, or you will get the record to the database. So what you can see in here is, for instance, Rails routes, and then we can do a grep project. So you can see here the informations of the project. So we have a get, we have a post, we have a post in here, we have a patch. So if you have an ID, so this kind of things is automatically giving to you when you put the resource. So what we're gonna do now is to, let's go to our index. Sorry, I think let's go first to our, let's save this one, and let's go to our project controller. And here in the project controller, what we're gonna do is to check if it's working. So projects, so let's plural, and the project.all. So what's going to happen is I created a variable here from the project, so I can name whatever I like, but just to rename, to correct, so you cannot forget it. So you have a project, which is the project, sorry. So here it will communicate the variable here to here. So this is the project, which is the model. And I will say, show me all the project, then I will give it to you. And this is the variable that you can use. And that variable we can print by how do you call it, view. So here we have a view, and we have auto-generated the project that we created from Rails G controller. Then what we're gonna do here is we can print in here what we can say, hey, let's say what we're gonna do here is at projects, and then we can say each do, and then show me all the project. So later we will gonna go to the Hotwire, so just you to know how this works. So and then I want to print our project content, I think that's what we did right in the schema, that's the right spelling, content and vote. So we want to print that one, and then at the same time we want to print the vote. So what's gonna happen if we created a multiple project, it will print for you in here. So what we're gonna do also to make a nice layout, I'm gonna copy paste the project that we have last time, so we don't need to design. So what I'm gonna do is I have here application, so from application, so I will copy paste our JS or JS and also Bootstrap. Yeah, so let me pull out for you, and then I will go here and paste in here. Okay, so let's see if this work. And then what I'm gonna do here is to create a one project so we can see it. Rails C. So Rails C is you're going to console, you will directly to the database. So I'm gonna do here is project that let's see, we don't have a project in here, of course. Project that new or project create, and then I'll put content first project, and then I'll do I need, yeah, we need to do that vote. You can say 2 votes, and then yeah, so we can see here we have the first project. And then what I'm gonna do is to run our Rails cd project. This is what we build. Oh, no less. So cd project Hotwire, we call it Hotwire. So we are now still on the setup of our project. So now it's booting. So what we're gonna do is I will pull out my browser, and where is that? And then let's see, localhost 3000. Yeah, this is our first project. We have a vote of 2. So now we need to make a really so I think the Bootstrap are working. And then we have, if you will see here, so we have this one. So what I'm gonna do is to make a div that content and then put in here. Okay, then I will put empty 3, which is move to the top 3 pixels. So this is the one. So that's what we are seeing now. Okay, so what we're gonna do here is to create a, how to call it, a controller that we can create, and then we can store, we can edit, and then yeah. Okay, I'm gonna go now in here. Let me go here. So what I'm gonna do here is to say, hey, I want this project project equals, which is the singular. I'm gonna create from project.new. Okay, so what's gonna happen? Okay, I'm gonna grab the new, and then at the same time I will pass to create. Then you can create, then we can create a condition from that. So here I will say, hey, add project, and then I will say project dot create, and then I will say, okay, let's pass the parameter for the project params. So I'm just call it project params, which is we will point to the parameter in here, private, and then we call it project params, which is this one. So I will put def project params, and then I'm gonna put here is required that not required, params that require, params that require that project, and then that and then yeah, we need to, sorry, I drink some water, permit, and then content, because we have a content that we use as a field, and then we have a vote sorry, my bad. Okay, so from here it will create a new how do you call it, content vote. So what I'm gonna do is to have a condition here, if add project is that save, and then what gonna happen is, how do you call it, it will create a, it will save, and then at the same time what we're gonna do is to pass the respond form, so respond format. So what we're gonna do here is respond, yeah, respond to format, and then we will use that later to use the turbo streaming, or turbo streaming that we did last time. And then from here what I'm gonna do is to put in here inside, and then I will say if at project that save, what we're gonna do is to redirect to, and then we call it projects, and then that's it for now. And then we call it notice project project was created, which is a new file. We call it form. That is what we did last time. So maybe to make it how do you call it, to make it from the scratch. So what we're gonna do here is form width. We will use form width, and then from that we will use the model. We call it project, and then we will use the ID, because we will use later, or after this we will start doing the Hotwire. So from the ID DOM we can access the DOM, and then to process the, how do you call it, from the ESM or from the browser, the IDs of the project. Okay, now what we're gonna do here is DOM ID, and then DOM ID, then we call it project for the meantime. Yeah, that's correct. Then do, and then we're gonna do here is the form. We call it we put in hand and here, and why is my, it's not working properly. Okay, so what I'm gonna do here is to copy paste what happened to my, and tag in here why it is not showing properly. So model create, oh yeah, there is a missing in here. Okay, so what I'm gonna do here, so that's correct. So what I'm gonna do here is to copy paste what we have last time, so I can explain to you, so I don't need to type everything. So what I'm gonna copy paste in here, and so here this is default of Ruby on Rails when you do the scaffolding. So you have the scaffolding if you can see the error message, those kind of things. So you don't need to build from the scratch, or you can build also from the scratch. You can use also helper, but I encourage you as a new developer or just learning the Hotwire, this is only just a default. It's easy, you can find the documentation. And here I'm added the, how do you call it, the text area, which is the content we have, and then we have a submit in here. Okay, so what we're gonna do here is, instead of going to the new page, we're gonna print in our index. So the first thing we need to do is to go to add project. We will call it in here because we will put the we will print the form in the index, and then at the same time you put here project.new, and then I think we don't need this one, project.new method, but we'll check on that one. And then here we're gonna go to the projects index, and then let's print, let's say a div, let's say the port content, and then we can say another row here, we can say card that body. We can just clean that later. I think we can grab the previous example that I created last time. And then from here we can print the form, so we can say render, and then we can say only form in here, and then we can just add here the locals with the project and project. So let's see here, let's print if that's gonna work. So we have here, it says add projects. So oh yeah, so what we're gonna do here is to say in here that projects, projects is that project. Yeah, so we have in here. And so what happening is here we render the form. Say, hey, I'm gonna print you in the index, and then I'm gonna call you as a project, and then from your variable I will print that, and then because of that, this is what you have, which is the project, which is that model, and then yeah, and from that you can use that form to create a project. So what I'm gonna do here is m22, so it's nice, and let's see if it's working. If it's not, then we can fix, and then let's refresh, and then an empty record in here. So what we're gonna do is to create the validations that you can not create a project if it's empty. Okay, so what we're gonna do is to go back to our coding. Can I turn off this everything for now? I'm gonna remove, and then I'll put I'll go to the project file or model, and then we will put here validation, I think validations, and then we can say content. We need to validate the content if it's empty, and then we can call it presence, and then we call it true that it must be presence. And then I think we need to add in the project controller. We need to add in the project controller. I'm gonna minimize this one, and then we need to make a nice format in the render in here so we can see later what is happening here. So what gonna happen here is, okay, once I created this one, so I already explained the condition here. So now in the response do, some other people are confusing on this one, what is all about. In response to, when you created, it will respond to HTML or TurboStream, or before we are using Ajax, so or that JSON, so it will respond to that. So that is the meaning. So you can change the name here, variable, and then you can put here, let's say f, and then f.html. It doesn't matter as long as you have the create how do you call it, method and file. Okay, so what is happening here is, okay, once it's saved, and if it's not saved, we will use the format of HTML, and then we will render to new. So what we're gonna do here is to probably, do we need to render to new, or we need to go back to the index? We can do that also in the index later, but for now we can call it the status. I think status unprocessed. Let me copy paste what I have before, because I kind of forgot some other variable that you can use for the error. So that is an unprocessable entity. So we're gonna use that one. So what happening is, if we created it, and then if it is empty, it will validate in here that, hey, you need to, how do you call it, that the content is not empty. So we will validate it must be present, and then it will pass to in here, and it says, okay, this is the error that is showing from the model. So what's going to happen is, from the form that we have, so we have a error, how do you call it, message in here, then this must show up. So it will be prohibited to save because of this error that the content must be not empty. So what's going to happen here once you click, so I think we have a wrong spelling in validation. So validate, validations, or validates, I think that's validations. Let me check in validates. Yeah, we call it validate. Sometimes I'm confused on the name in English, so because I'm not a native English speaker. So once you click in here, it says new. So what we're gonna do here is go back, and then we need to present to the new. We need to create a form that we need to render. So I'm gonna create here the projects we have now new. And then what I'm gonna do here is to print on the form. So render, and then we will put the form. So since we already inside the projects folder, so I'm just gonna call it as form. So it will how do you call it, call the form. And then I think that was it. And then I will refresh this one, create, and then now it's saying add project. So what I'm gonna do is to put here a project and project. Okay, let's see, and then refresh again, and then voila, I think that was it. So content cannot be blank. So you can make a design whatever you like, but maybe we can pull out from the bootstrap, so we can use that in the future. So I'm gonna go to my other browser here. I'm gonna go here, get bootstrap, and then let's go to alert. I think that is alert. Yeah, then we can use this one. So let's see, where are we on the project? And then I think we can wrap this one. Let's just make it simple for now, and then put here. Yeah, and then go there, and then we can say okay, prohibited to being saved. So you can see in here that the project that we created is gone, so we will solve those kind of things and using the Hotwire. So what I'm gonna do now is to create a Hotwire and that we can use. So how we gonna do that is, let's go first to the project. So what we discussed last time on how the broadcasting is working. So what we're gonna do is, I'm gonna copy paste in the after and create, so I don't need to have a lot of time consuming and you're watching. So we have here after create, it will commit and then it will broadcast to the project. So what's gonna happen is, when you created a project, when you create a record of the project, then it will broadcast to the project that we are adding to the index. And then here, once you update, the same, and once you destroy, it will broadcast to the projects, which is the ID. So what I'm gonna do is go back again in here, and then let's create onto the index, and we will add here. I think we can add on the top. Let's make this one as a nice one. Project list for the meantime. And then maybe we can wrap this one. Yeah, we can wrap this one. That's fine. And then here, so it's like that, although it's kind of ugly. So what we're gonna do here in the form is, instead outside the if statement, we're gonna put inside, so the color is not an ugly one. So because you can see here that there's still empty and color, so put the condition here. And then what else? Yeah, I think that was it for now. So we can just design in the future when we are continuing the project. So here what I'm gonna do is to broadcast. So what I'm gonna do here is to create in here to broadcast the stream of the turbo stream, and then we can use from, and then we can say projects, because we are using the project from the project in here, so we will broadcast. And then from that we will use this one to broadcast. So once we are safe, it will goes to, how do you call it, to the index, and then it will call, okay, I will broadcast the one that project, and then I will give it to you to the index so you can print it instead of refreshing the page. So yeah, so let's see. So if you will look in here, what you're seeing is we don't have yet, because I didn't save it yet. So we don't have here the broadcasting of the turbo. But if I will refresh, you can see here the turbo stream source, which is the project. So this is the one that we're gonna use. And then from here we will insert another turbo, so we can wrap that one. Okay, and so what I'm gonna do is, I think let's remove this one, and then what we're gonna do is, let's use the turbo stream, sorry, we can use turbo stream frame tag, and then from that we will call it projects, because this is multiple, and then because we will pass from the project or from the stream from, and then from that you say end. Why my end tag of Ruby is not working properly? And then we can use a, hey, I want to add this one, render, we will render the project. And so we will collect what is in the project information or the record, so we will render that one. So how we're gonna do that is we have add project here, and then from here we will add a project .html.erb, and then from this it will call, how do you call it, what is in here. So it will call the project, the informations, and then it will print in here using the rendering. So what I'm gonna do is, instead of building from the scratch of that one, we can, because that is part of HTML and those kind of things, so we can last that one. So what is happening is we have underscore that project, so we have index, which is calling to the turbo projects, and then add project, so we call it one by one in here, and then from here we print this one, and then we print the content, and then let's remove this for now, and then let's remove this for now because we don't need that yet. And then let's click. Okay, so what's going to happen, it will print how do you call it, the project on the index is like on a table. And then yeah, so let's see how it's look like now. And then if we have some, so we have empty here, let's look what is happening. So we have a project, and then we call it, I think that's my bad, because it must be a project, because we will call it a project. I forgot the one that we use on the controller as a project. So yeah, okay, let's see. So that's projects, and then it will collect. So we have now here first project, that's project, so it's mostly a little bit nice. So we have here the turbo frame, we can see the ID projects, and then each frame we have a frame, which is project 1, project 2, project 3. So it's that is makes sense, because we have here, if you will look, so we have here the projects, which is printing this one. So it's like garbage collector, how do you call it in Ruby on Rails. It's kind of magic that, okay, I will grab the project, which is this one, which is, I don't need to say underscore project.html. It's automatically for Ruby on Rails. And then from that, I will grab this one, which is, I will grab the content in a specific project. But here we shortcut, I copy paste the HTML and the turbo frame here in the project, so we can make it quick. We have a turbo frame tag in here we added, so we can see that we have in here in multiple turbo frame, which is the DOM project 1, project 2, project 3. So that is what is happening. So you have index, rendering the projects, and then print it for you. And then now once we created the project, let's see if it's working. Then yeah, I think it's broadcasting now. So we have a project. So first, that is, let's say project news, and then once I click, so what is happening is there is some issue probably in our Hotwire. So what's gonna happen, what is happening here is unsubscribing channel. So let's see what is going on. So let's see, project new. So project new, I don't know what is happening on that one. I think if there is a broken on the channel. So what I'm gonna do here is let's go back in here. So let's see what is happening first before we go to different requirements of our project. So we have here, we added a we created here, we inserted, so let's see, where is it? So we have a controller, project controller here we created, and we added this text, and then from that is stream by a turbo stream or Hotwire, and then it stores. So I don't know what is happening here, unsubscribing from channel. Maybe it's my Ruby, or I didn't see this before, but I will validate the one and we can discuss in the future. Okay, so now let's make it clean, so make it nice. So project that destroy, let's destroy all for now. Okay, so I don't have a project list in here. Well, it's kind of ugly in here. We can probably make it nice that way. So what I'm gonna do here is new project update. So we don't need the update. I'm gonna delete this one. We have a create. We don't need that one. We don't need this. Delete also. And then what else? So we have edit here. You have index. So I'm buttering on this one that we have before. Then we have a design, which is we can show that when there is an error. So probably we can insert in here, but we'll print. So I think we can put in here for the meantime, so it's not an ugly design, but where it is, let me go back. So this card index in the form. Okay, so we wrap up in the form. Oh yeah, so this is what is going on. We have another in here, which is the card. That's why. So if I will remove this one, and then we can just make it nice layout later. Okay, so now we're gonna create a for the edit. So if I will go here on the let's go first on the project. So here we need to enable the button, or yeah, we need to create a button. So which is what I have in here, the button. So what's happening is I need to link to the edit, which is the controller from the routes, and then from that we have edit project path and then variable project. So we need to target the specific project. So here if I will go on to the I think we can go here, and let's see again, let me go back in here, and then Rails routes, let's say you make it nice, let's say project. So here you can see the edit project, so we will target that one, and using the project find params, we need to say this is will belong to the edit update. I think we will put also to destroy, and then we can say to that, hey, before it happens, or before you do an actions, you need to find first this find params, which is the ID of the project. So what we're gonna do here is before action, I think before action, and then we say set ID, and then we can say only, I think we can do like this, only edit update. I think we have an update, and then destroy. Okay, let's see if there's an error. We can see that later. So we have already here, and then we can say we don't need to. So what the purpose also on this one is, instead of you need to put every how do you call it, project that find params, every method, you can do it only once, so it's clean. And then now instead of putting here, and then putting here, so it's a lot, so you can just use this one before action, and that's one of the beauty of that one. And then now I'm gonna go here, and then I will say, okay, if add project that update, I will say project params, and then I will say okay, else and end. I will say it here. If it's updated, what you're gonna do is to, I think we need to add here the format. Kind of forgot format the do. Let me copy paste in one response to, and then we will add here end. So we have a block of end, and then we will do it like this, render to new. And then here we will add our turbo stream, and that, how do you call it, when you created a format, when you add in here, let me do like this. So yeah, so we can say here. So what's gonna happen is when we updated, we want also, if there is a empty record, it will go back again and it will say, hey, you have a empty content, you cannot save it. Or if someone remove the whole edit, the record, then it can throw an error. So what we're gonna do here is we put turbo I think turbo stream. Let me pull out and our full details, so we don't need to rebuild from that one, so we can make it fast. So what we can do here is to copy paste that one. So we have a format which is the turbo stream, so we will stream that one and we will say, okay, I will render the turbo stream, I will place another frame, and then from that I will use the form, which is the project form, and then from that I will say, okay, this is the error, this is what is happening, that's why you cannot save your form, your record from the edit. Okay, I think that was it, and then we are almost done. And so once I refresh this one, so we have an edit. So if I click, what is going on? Let's look on the error. So we have here set ID. I think we have a wrong spelling, so set IT is a set ID, so this is set ID, and then now I need to go back again, and then what's going to happen is it will render. Let me see what is the error. Element project ID has no matching, so let me refresh and then go back in here. So let's see what is happening on the streaming. Okay, I think what we're gonna do here is we can say we already call in here form index, we call it to the edit. We don't have yet here the edit, that's why it is not happening, because it cannot call the specific frame for that specific ID. So what we're gonna do here is to make it fast. I think there is an issue also in here that our HTML is not working properly. So if I will click edit in here, type edit, and nothing is happening, and I cannot maybe I cannot see the logs in here that we have an issue. So what I'm gonna do here is cancel, and then I will go to our codes, and then let's look on the project. So that is correct, we have an update, it will go to update the params. So I think everything is correct from that. We have also the index, I think it's already set up the stream. So if I will go here, I think we already enabled for now the edit, and then I think let's go to the what else in here, form. I think we have in here, which is this one. So this is what is happening. So what is happening is that's why it cannot save, because there is a unclosed tag, because we wrap after the if statement in here in the condition, and then we added we have a last part, which is the div in here. So how do you call it, cannot capture all the element in the HTML, so it cannot save. So let's try if it's gonna work. My idea about this one, I'm gonna refresh this one, and then I'll put here edit. So if you can see here now, how do you call it, the HTML is correctly, it is not overlap in here. So if I click here the update, it will update now in here, so it's working. And then if I go here also edit to and then update, so you can see in here it is appending. So what is happening is when I click the edit, then it will take a frame from the form and then reattach it. So what is happening is this one, and then once I click update, it will change another form, which is the frame, sorry, and then it will append to the index. So that is what is happening, and that is beauty in Hotwire. It's like, I think you can call it a single page application. And then you can cancel in here, and then now what we're gonna add is to have a delete button, because we don't have yet on that one. So what we're gonna do here is first we need to add to our controller. So in our controller, we says here we already put the destroy method. So what is happening is when I call again when we create a button and delete, it will call to the set ID, and it will call the specific project ID, which is it will call in the project that find params ID, and then it will throw the destroy method. And then from here we're gonna say I'm gonna copy paste so it will be quick. I will copy paste this one and what we built like last time, and then we call it at the project. So we will call the specific project, and we will say, hey, you need to destroy this, and then redirect to the projects again on the index. And then here, what is the left is we will add here the delete button. So we will call it the button, which is the actions, and then we have the title, we have the project, and then we have a method which is delete, and then we will use the turbo frame to confirm, hey, before you delete, are you sure that you want to delete that? And then from that, and then we will stream, and then it will append, and you don't need to refresh the page. So that is what gonna happen. So if I click refresh in here, so we have delete in here. So if I click delete, and then voila, then it is working. So what you can see here is the error because we didn't do any validations in here. So once it's deleted, it will reread again because we are using the browser. It will reread again the IDs on the project. So that's why we have a response no match for project 6, because we already delete the project 6. So yeah, and I will delete this again. And now what we're gonna do is to create a voting. How are we gonna do that in here? But first I want to show you how this works for now. How do you call it? Our streaming. So this is the same when you're creating a chat. So I'm gonna open my Safari. So Safari, where are you? And then we have a local in here, local host. Then when I say project 23, okay, let's vote on that one. So you can see in here that is on time, that when I create the project, it will automatically pop up in here instead of you refreshing. This is what I'm discussing last time. And then when I create an update my project and then update, it will automatically update here. So that is the beauty on what we are doing. And like what I said, we will add a chat, the same concept. We will add on the project the task, and for now we will add the vote in here. In the vote we will add another controller, and then we will click the vote. So we can use that one. Let's say the example of this project, if someone has a project, if for instance in the school you have a thesis, you can vote, okay, I like this project, and then I will vote this one. And then you can see, okay, we have 100 vote on this project and we have a less vote on this project. Let's choose this project to make it. So just an example to give to you, so you can build another project information or another project app from this concept using the Hotwire Ruby on Rails 7. So what we're gonna do here is to add another button, which is the vote, and then we will call the vote, which is the on our table we created on the schema here, which is the integer the vote. So we will call that in here, and then we will point to the project vote. So we will create the controller for that, and then we will point to the specific project, which is this one. And then we added the class to make it beautiful, not really beautiful, but yeah. And then we call it the post, which is the method. So once we click the vote, then it will count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. You can also implement another controller or another method to decrement. So it's up to you. So this is the foundations that you can do that in your project. So what I'm gonna do here is first, because we already have the button, we will add here on the project. Let's say I put do and then I will add resources. I think we can use resources and then votes, and then from here I will create another controller inside the controller, which is we're gonna call it votes, and then controller that RB. So class So I think we better copy paste the controller that we made last time in the controller. I will copy paste on my other screen and then put in here, so I can explain to you. So we have a create that we says, okay, in this method, let's see in here, let's see votes. So vote. So we have here the project votes, and then we say, hey, on the post, we will call the method create. So that is what gonna happen. We can just define only vote on the resources instead of all, but we can clean that later. So what's gonna happen here, I created a project, and then on that project I increment because we have integer, which is the vote. And then every time I click the button in here, it will increment the, how do you call it, the vote. So 0, 1, 2, 3, and then and so on. And then once I click, it will redirect to the project's path. And but before it happen, before it's create, what's gonna happen is I need to call first the project, which specific project that I need to increment my vote. What's gonna happen is we set the vote method, and then we call it a project, which is that is what we have, and then we will find the project, and then we will find the project ID, so we can target the specific project. So if you will look in here, so I'm gonna save this one, and then we go back here and then refresh. So we have a vote now in here. If I click vote, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, so that is what is happening. So if you will look in here, I think we cover everything for now on what we did last time. Okay, so yeah, and then we have a post and we vote 8, and here, so you can see and that what is happening on the vote. We are using turbo also, although this is not yet fully finished. If you can see in here, let's refresh this one. So I have a 6, but if I put click vote 7, it didn't increment. So that is what we're gonna discover using, I think, stimulus, or we can do it also in the Hotwire. But that is additional project for you, or additional assignment that you can do by your own. So I think that's how we build from the scratch and without the scaffolding, although it takes time, but I hope you learn. And